Hello, everyone, and welcome to the March 2026 news for What's New in Cloud FinOps with myself, Franck Contrepoix, and my great friend
Steve-O.
Here we go. Oh, he did it.
I was going to see if you remembered that. I said about it last time. But
yes, I do remember. It was quite interesting, this thing that you
felt wrong. It felt so wrong.
Well, just use the thing that feels right. Come on.
I say Steve-O on everything else except for this. It's the only thing where I don't say it. I think it's because we have your long lyrical name. It's a fantastic name to say, Frank Contrepoix. And just going Steve-O seems like, middle fingers up at your long, wonderful name.
Oh, gosh. So, do the thing that feels right. And
I might just flip it around, see how I feel. Weekly basis. Or monthly
there we go. Plus, we like originality in this podcast. We like to think through new ways. Anyway, I'm going to finish a sentence at one point, I promise. So let's start. Music Maestro. There we go. Instances and compute. I have EC2 Fleet can use interruptible capacity reservation. So the official thing is that Amazon EC2 Fleet now supports interruptible capacity reservation. EC2 Fleets allows you to launch instances across multiple instance type and availability zone. Starting today, you can specify interruptible capacity reservation IDs across your launch template to provision instances in a single EC2 Fleet call. So I have no clue what I just said.
No, when on-demand capacity reservations are not in use, customers can make them temporarily available as interruptible reservations within their organization to improve utilization to save costs. Okay. So you can basically almost make them like your own spot by the sounds of things.
As
you've reserved capacity, you can put them into your fleets and pull them back out.
Well, it is not. Is it not to waste your interruptible
to make sure
reservation?
you're not. Well, so you make sure you're not wasting your capacity reservations. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think.
Yeah,
I've not used them, but it's the world's a bit different now, isn't it, with capacity reservation requirements and stuff?
Exactly.
Plus a limitation,
Especially. So, that's it. And then you added something which is new and I think is really interesting.
So I did a project recently where I was trying to get Azure pricing, and a load of people will be hearing my groans inside. And one of the problems I had. So when you create ESR, one of the things you do is you look at the list price in comparison.
Yep.
Well, these things didn't have list. Like list price doesn't exist in the file where you feel it should. And for some of the things, I needed to then get the 3-year RI price because they'd been bought up front. So I needed to work out, I needed to amortize, whatever it was. But the 3-year RI price didn't exist anymore because it had been retired or it was retiring. So 3-year pricing wasn't available anymore. And that means it's not available in the pricing APIs because it's no longer available. So I had all this hassle, but it did make me realize with the retirement of things in Azure, that has an impact on FinOps because you need to know that you're going to lose the ability to do 1 year, 3 year RIs at a certain date.
You know, that's the same in AWS. They remove things. When they remove them, they just disappear from the price list and you don't see them anymore. I have some example. That's why I keep all the pricing for last year. I have every month, but then you need to go through it. It's madness. But okay.
Yeah. Cool. So on May the 31st, 2027, we have all of these retirements. The NP series virtual machines, sizes MP10s, standard MP20s, and standard MP40s. The HBV2 series with HB 120 RSV2, 12096 RSV2, 12064 RSV2, and the 12032 RSV2, and the HB 12016 RSV2. And the HC series, HC44 RS, HC4416 RS, and the standard HC4432 RS. These are all standards, by the way, throughout are all retiring, and the 1 year and 3 year RI purchases will end April 2nd, 2026. They've gone.
So you can buy RIs for these.
You can no longer buy RIs.
You cannot longer buy them, but they're still going to remove those. So if I bought the RI on the 1st of April, just as a joke, because that's what you do, what happens to my running instances? So I cannot buy them anymore, but they're still going to run, the old ones, for my 3 years.
You will not. Yeah, well, for the 3 year, indeed, great question. So they'll definitely run until the 31st of May. I think you just will no longer be able to select them on demand from then. And so they will run until your reservations end.
Okay, yeah. Because otherwise that would be, you would have to stop 3 years in advance and just say, hey, at that date, we're going to stop reservation. At that day, in 3 years' time, we're going to stop.
Which I think we've seen cases of sometimes. Absolutely. And then my last piece of news is the generally available TPU 7X. It's the first release within the Ironwood family, Google's 7th generation TPU. And it supports large-scale AI training and inference, providing performance and cost-effectiveness for demanding workloads such as large language models and mixture of experts, MOEs, and diffusion models. And there's a bunch of documentation you can find on that. It's just the TPU 7X Ironwood documentation.
Yeah, and I think
our formatting's been a bit funny, hasn't it? So I think that is the end of that.
Absolutely.
What's happened to Google Docs?
It is the end of that, but it's quite a... I think now their TPU, Google is working with roughly everyone, but Google is working with Anthropic, who is, by the way, struggling to have capacity. And so it is quite interesting because there was a discussion about Anthropic is going to help build TPUs, but at the same time, it was not forced to run them into Google data center. I was trying to understand the behind the scenes. It is messy, to say the least, but...
Have you done much side-by-side comparison of like a ChatGPT versus a Claude or anything?
I did try things. I have to say I'm going to be very unpopular there, but at one point I said, okay, I was reasonably on GPT. It was doing what I needed to do, so I was fine.
100% agree.
I said, hey, I'm going to go with Claude because everyone tells me the mess so much better. And I think it was that week when they just stopped quite fast the token, or better, I've consumed my token in something like 3 hours.
Wow.
And they would say, oh yeah, for the next 2 hours you can do anything. And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously? I'm working right now. I do it in burst, okay? I might have a moment of 3 hours of work and then I'm done for 24 hours. And I don't have agents running 24/7 in this case. And that was extremely frustrating for me to be interrupted in this way and to not be able to do anything. I went back to, in this case, Cursor, when I can pick different models, which also brings another interesting point is we all talk about ChatGPT and Claude. But for example, when you use Cursor, they have their own models.
Yeah.
Which last super long and work really well for lots of things. So it's bigger than these two. And I invite people also having a look at other models because that might be much better.
Well, I mean, Google's fantastic as well. It depends what you're doing, isn't it? But I did, because code's meant to be better on Claude. Claude's meant to be better for code, isn't it? They say. But I did a TK Into app side by side for an API thing I was building. And I gave them both exactly the same. And they both built it and they both worked. I had to give Claude one bit of advice to change something UI to make it more usable. Because the way it was doing, I didn't think it was particularly usable. But it built it straight into dark mode and all this kind of stuff. I said, I think that does look cooler and all this. But I got Becky to have a look and I said, look, I have no idea how to use this app. It's the first time I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Which one do you prefer? And she preferred what I thought was a far more old school looking one that ChatGPT built. Straight, she was like, I can see how that works straight away. I was like, that's really interesting. I think it's maybe a developer desire, like about how we like things built, that makes people feel Claude is better.
It's also you are the bleeding edge. You always look at the latest thing because if you the one that does it looks very old school, but still works brilliantly well for everyone is Amazon. If you look at the Amazon UI, it does what it needs. It is big yellow buttons for what you're supposed to click next. But overall, it's not looking flashy like you would do today.
Yeah, it doesn't try too hard, does it?
New. No, it doesn't try too hard. It's here to say it's practical. You want to buy something or return something. That's how you do it.
Yeah, true.
So, yes, there we go. DB
I've been
data.
holding the button on that.
AI, yes. So I did one which was Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL, now available with the AWS free tier. So it's useful. So that's AI thinking. Say useful for onboarding and early testing. New customer get $100 credits at sign up with ability to earn an additional $100 through eligible usage, including RDS, and can spin up Aurora Postgres serverless quickly. So it's quite cool, but it is still $100. So it has a clear limit on spend. $100 for RDS is not that much.
No.
So initially I was quite upset with my agent to miss this one, and then the answer was, yeah, but it's going to bring so much little change to whatever you're doing that, yeah, it's not completely wrong. But yes, so if you have Postgres, Aurora PostgreSQL, you might get $200 for free, which is always good to have. So that's one. Next, I think it's yours.
General availability for the Azure Databricks Lakebase. So that was announced that the became generally available. It's a managed Postgres environment with next generation separation of storage and compute for OLTP, providing instant availability, instant clones, and scaled to zero. Lakebase lets you build intelligent transactional applications and AI agents on the same governed data foundations you already use for analytics, BI, and machine learning in Azure Databricks. A bit like BigQuery. Just done it for years. But I am a big fan, as you know, of the separation of compute and storage for these kind of things. And then the other piece of news I have is that the Azure Databricks now offers a Lakeflow Connect free tier that gives each workspace 100 free DPUs per workspace per day for ingestion from SaaS applications and databases. This allows you to bring in roughly 100 million records of data per workspace day into your lakehouse at no charge before standard Lakeflow Connect pricing applies. But I imagine you're being charged for the storage once it's there.
Yes, but that's bring your stuff to me.
Yeah, bring your stuff to me for free, so I can start charging you, and I'll charge you when you pull it back out. Of course, unless it's migration, which by EU law they can't do. But yes, that is that one. Well, there is none for storage, so I'm not going to do the sound for storage.
We have something for
and
visibility. Go.
Oh my goodness, I'm not used to having one. I have to say.
Visibility, billing conductor, tags, cost categories, and it's a cloud one. It's a cloud billing, so it's Google.
Oh, it's Google. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. So I thought I was going to do it.
It's yours.
Yep. So cloud billing, simpler access to Google payments profiles from the billing account. So who can change payment methods and profile data without juggling? So you can basically manage IAM and who can change payment methods without juggling two different permission systems, billing ops and least privilege. It's not a cost optimization headline, but it is a simplification for if you are doing that. And that was on the 23rd in the release notes. And that was all we really had in that space. Well, I guess the next piece of news could go in either, but my next one, but we'll leave it to the next one. Here we go.
Yes. So commitments, and yes, it could go into database, could go into storage, but there is a database savings plans now cover OpenSearch service and Neptune Analytics. So Neptune is the graph database, if I remember well. OpenSearch does search. But yeah, so expanded dollar per hour commitment coverage for search and graph analysis. So it's if you have anything that is running into Neptune or OpenSearch, you might have your commitments applying to that too. So with database savings plan, you can save up to 35% in exchange for commitment. And so this, give me a sec. No, it doesn't say much more than that. So it just says that it's for Amazon OpenSearch service and Amazon Neptune Analytics is available starting today in all AWS regions except China. And today was the 5th of March.
Yes, and so
next one is yours.
Yes, CUD scenario modeling is generally available. We talked about this when we went to preview. They've been doing a load of stuff on it for quite some time. But the model spend-based and resource-based CUD purchases, so you can now model them before you buy. So hopefully making fewer bad commitment decisions. Although, I mean, hopefully you're not making them anyway. But that's that one.
Well, yeah, but it's always good to have someone else. Pricing. So this is VPC encryption controls move from free preview to paid pricing. So new ongoing the line item for non-empty VPC with control on. Transit gateway attachment rule can be broadened to get who gets charged. I don't understand a word of what this AI said. Let me open the thing. AWS is launching pricing for VPC encryption control, a security and compliance feature that enables you to audit and enforce encryption in transit on all traffic flow within and across VPCs in a region. VPC encryption control can be enabled in 2 modes. Monitored mode detects presence of any unencrypted traffic within your VPCs, and enforce mode ensure all data in transit is encrypted and prevent the bring up of any resource that allows unencrypted traffic within your VPC. That's quite cool. It's almost such a standard policy that they are just saying you don't need to try to have any other thing or to do it for you. We will make sure that everything's encrypted if you need to, and that's going to be on us, which is quite cool.
Yeah, it is. Right, so nothing for savings, nothing for FinOps General. Although, was it last month we had the changes to the? I guess we haven't brought that in, but we had the changes to the framework, which we should talk about briefly.
Yes,
the FinOps framework, which everyone should know about now.
Can, so it's go.
But yeah, so we had some changes to a few names and titles. We had combination review things. They added KPIs to benchmarking, which I think made sense, which pulled that out of where it had been before. They brought in exec alignment, which is something that people like Mark Butcher and myself, and mainly Mark, have been really pushing out for a long time. I think one of the things that was most interesting at the FinOps X Day in London, which we both attended to, was that they brought up labour. Like for the first time, which is something that, even in FinOps Connect, there's been talk about how can you do that, and I've kind of given some people ideas how I've done it in the past, but it's really kind of going into the TBM space, where that has been a separation for a long time.
For me, there was also the fact that they've added risk all of a sudden, so risk stopped being the bad words, and that's aligned with the executive requirement. And that's the interesting bit is I was talking about executive things in a workshop I was doing. Then they released this. I was so happy from the foundation. It's easy to explain now. What I do is I explain you how to implement that bit. That's my job. Nice. That's what I do.
I thought it was interesting.
That was absolutely cool. But yeah, we have risk because you make decisions.
Yeah.
Sorry. You make decisions, risk reward decisions. That's what decision maker are for. And so risk is a normal part of business. And until now, it was always considered slightly negative, probably due to the fact that we come from tech and engineering, and risk is usually a bad word there.
Yeah, I think we might have a delay today. We've never had a delay on Riverside, I don't think, but I think we might have one. The other... Yes, we have. It's quite a long one. The other thing I thought was... I thought the career path stuff was interesting. I don't know how much I agreed with some of the concepts. And someone's trying to get access to my computer to do a fix. And there was another thing that I thought was interesting. What was it? It demonstrated that people had struggled with scopes for a while to understand scopes. And I agree with that. I think people get confused by scopes quite badly. And now they've brought technology categories to try to make it simpler. But I still don't think they explain. I think scopes are quite simple. They make sense to me. I don't think they explained it very well at all, again, if I'm honest. I think they struggled to get it across in a simple manner.
When they explained technology category, that was what I thought scope were. So I need to stop, take the time to go through that and write down because I'm still unsure, and in some form of way it feels a little like a land grab, I would say. And it's, yes, you can apply FinOps everywhere, but anyway, I still need to stop, take the time to think and go through it.
Sit to it, yeah. Get that. Okay, so the next one which we actually do have is sustainability. There you go. Sustainability,
we're there. And I'm going to go there. AWS launches Sustainability Console for carbon emission tracking. AWS launches the AWS Sustainability Console, a free standalone service that shows customers the environmental impact associated with the AWS usage. Expanding on the features from the Customer Carbon Footprint Tool, CCFT for friends, in the AWS Billing Console, this new service addresses a critical access barrier by enabling sustainability professionals to view carbon emissions data without requiring billing permissions. Organizations can now ensure that the right teams have access to environmental data. That's good.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
So what did they say? Give me a sec. Calculating using both market-based and location-based method, and available by region and scope 1, 2, and 3. The console also additional capabilities, including improved customization visualization, the ability to set which months your fiscal year starts, customizable CSV reports, and API SDK access for seamless integration of emission data into existing reporting workflows. Youpidoo.
Fantastic. I think that is us, because there's nothing amiss and silly. And apologies, listeners, if the delay is causing the issues. We've been talking for about half an hour before we started this, and there wasn't one. And I don't know if pressing the record button has started it. It seems to have got worse as we've gone on. But we have a great interview episode coming up that we're recording later this week, which should have been recorded already, but I am a bad human being, so it wasn't. And we hope to see some of you at the AWS event this week. Are you going, Frank?
Yes.
London?
Yes, I'm going. It's on Wednesday, if I remember well. And,
yeah, that's right.
I need to, I have some meetings in between, but yes, we'll make it. I'll be there. So if you see someone with big round red glasses, just stop me. I want to chat with you.
Yeah, perfect. I'll try to remember to wear my blue glasses as well, rather than my contacts. Said to Becky, I probably, to be recognisable, I need to make sure I wear my glasses. Cool. Well, thank you, Frank, and thank you, everybody, for listening. And I look forward to speaking to you all again soon.